Because every night, as the moon rose over the lagoon and the city lights flickered across the water, Zuri changed. Her legs shimmered into a silver blue tail. Her skin sparkled like fish scales in moonlight, and her lungs adapted to breathe beneath the waves. Zuri was a mermaid. She had no idea how or why this happened. Zuri always knew she was different. By day, she walked the dusty grounds of the University of Lagos. Just another student trying to survive lectures, group work, and the brutal lines at the cafeteria. She wore glasses, kept her curly hair in a bun, and never missed a class. To her classmates, she was quiet, smart, maybe even a little strange. But they didn't know her secret. Because every night, as the moon rose over the lagoon and the city lights flickered across the water, Zuri changed. Her legs shimmered into a silver blue tail. Her skin sparkled like fish scales in moonlight, and her lungs adapted to breathe beneath the waves. Zuri was a mermaid. She had no idea how or why this happened. The first time she transformed, she was just 12, and it terrified her. She had woken up floating in the lagoon, surrounded by strange glowing fish that sang in languages she couldn't understand. Her mother had cried when she came home that night, soaking wet, shivering, but alive. That night her mother told her a story. Our bloodline, her mother whispered, comes from the river. My mother was one, and now you are too. You are part of something ancient, Zuri, something powerful, but she warned her too. Never tell anyone, and never forget who you are. Now 10 years later, Zuri kept that secret close, like a second skin. But things were changing. Lately, the waters felt wrong. There were dark shadows in the depths, creatures she'd never seen before. Sharp-toothed, restless, angry. The sea life was afraid. Even the old spirits that guarded the tides whispered warnings. One night, as Zuri swam near the edge of the lagoon, a voice called her name. Zuri! She froze. From beneath the surface rose a figure cloaked in black kelp, with eyes like molten silver. It was a mami wata spirit, ancient and powerful. You are the last of the true ones, the spirit said. The gate between worlds is weakening. The darkness is coming. You must take your place. I don't understand, Zuri cried. I'm just a student. No, the spirit hissed. You are the key. Before she could ask more, the spirit dissolved into water, leaving behind only a glowing shell. Inside it was a symbol, an old sigil Zuri recognized from her grandmother's stories. It was the mark of the tide keepers, guardians of the sea realm. From that moment, Zuri's life began to spiral. At school, she couldn't concentrate. During her lectures, she saw visions of crashing waves and stormy skies. Her body ached during the day. Her powers were growing and fast. One night, she dove deeper than she ever had. Past the coral palaces and forgotten shipwrecks, she found it, a tear in the ocean floor, black and pulsing. From it, dark creatures poured out, twisted eels with glowing red eyes, shadowfish with teeth like blades. They weren't from this world. Zuri fought them with everything she had, channeling the light in her palms, calling on the power of the currents. But they kept coming. She needed help. The next day, she visited her grandmother's shrine, hidden in a grove near the edge of town. She lit incense and whispered prayers. The wind shifted, and a vision came to her. Her grandmother smiling, wrapped in seaweed and stars. Zuri, her voice echoed. The strength you seek is already within you, but you must accept both halves of who you are. You cannot fight as a human. You cannot fight as only a mermaid. You must become one. That night, Zuri made her choice. She swam to the deepest trench, the gateway to the other water, the realm of the old gods and the cursed. There, with the sigil glowing on her chest, she called out to the sea, "I am Zuri, daughter of water, keeper of the tide. I claim my place." The sea rumbled. Light exploded from the depths, blinding and fierce. The creatures of darkness screamed and fled, and from the light came armor made of coral and pearl, wrapping around her like a second skin. Her tail grew longer, sleeker. Her eyes turned ocean blue. Her voice became a song that controlled waves. She was no longer just a student. She was the last tidekeeper. With her newfound strength, she returned to the rift. This time, she didn't fight alone. The fish, the dolphins, even the ancient sea spirits rose with her. Together, they sealed the rift, trapping the darkness beyond. Peace returned to the waters. But Zuri knew it was only the beginning. Now, every night, she guards the deep, and every morning she walks back into class. Just another girl with a secret and a backpack full of textbooks. But if you ever see a girl staring out at the sea with eyes too deep for this world, you might have found her. It had been 3 weeks since Zuri sealed the rift. 3 weeks since she accepted her place as the last tidekeeper. By day, life continued as usual. Lectures, tests, hostel drama, and endless cups of Gary and groundnut during late-night study sessions. But at night, the ocean called her like never before. Not with danger, but with whispers of a deeper destiny. One night, as she floated near the reef, a sharp trill caught through the stillness. It was a horn, a conch shell cry from the southern waters, ancient and rarely used. A call only the oldest mermaids answered. Zuri followed the sound. Hours later, deep in the delta of the river Ethiopia, she found them, 6 shimmering figures with tails of obsidian, emerald, and moonlight. They were older, stronger, eyes glowing like pearls in the dark. They called themselves the Tideborn, the original guardians of the sea, long believed to be extinct. "We've been watching you," said the eldest, a fierce matriarch named Nkem. Her voice echoed like crashing waves. "You carry the mark. You have awakened the old power." Zuri bowed instinctively. "Why now? Why me?" Nkem swam closer. "Because the darkness you sealed was only a fragment. The real threat is waking." On land, strange things began to happen. Fishermen along the Lagos coast reported dead fish floating to the surface, eyes blackened, bodies bloated. Some claimed to see whirlpools forming in still water. A child in Badagry washed ashore, unharmed, but speaking in tongues no one understood. Zuri heard the ocean whisper it first. "He is coming." She didn't know who he was, but the dreams made it clear. Something ancient and corrupted was stirring from beneath the ocean floor. Something once bound by the tide keepers, now breaking free. Back in her dorm room, Zuri found herself sketching symbols in her sleep. Her notebook filled with swelling lines and forgotten scripts. One symbol appeared again and again, an eye surrounded by teeth. She took it to her mother. Her mother's face went pale. "It's the mark of Okunleyin," she said. "The sea that walks behind." Zuri frowned. "I thought that was a myth." "It's no myth," her mother whispered. "It's a curse. According to legend, Okunleyin was once a sea deity who tried to merge land and ocean to rule both realms. The Tideborn defeated him centuries ago and sealed him beneath the Marrow Trench. But with the seals weakening, his whispers were leaking back into the world. He was gathering followers. That night, Zuri returned to the sea, heart pounding. The Tideborn were waiting. "We must find the lost seals," Nkem said. "There are 7, each hidden in sacred places of the deep. If we don't restore them, Okunleyin will rise." Zuri was chosen to lead the quest. One by one, the Tideborn swore their oaths to her. Together they dove into the unknown, through haunted coral cathedrals, sunken cities lost to time, underwater volcanoes guarded by serpents of steam. Each seal was harder to find. One was hidden in a whirlpool that looped time. Another sat inside the bones of a sea dragon. A third was swallowed by an ancient leviathan, still alive and angry. But Zuri grew stronger. Her tail shimmered like starlight. Her voice could bend tides. She spoke with whales, summoned lightning from coral reefs, and called dolphins with a whisper. Yet the closer she got to the last seal, the darker her dreams became. Meanwhile, back on land, her human life began to crumble. She missed tests. Her friends grew distant. Rumors started. Zuri's acting strange. She talks to herself. She disappears for days. Only one person noticed the pain behind her eyes. His name was Tayo, a final-year marine biology student with curious eyes and a quiet smile. He had admired Zuri from afar, but now he saw something deeper. One evening, he followed her to the lagoon and saw her dive and never resurface. The next night, he came back and waited. Zuri rose from the water, glowing, breathless, shimmering like moonlight incarnate. Tayo gasped. You're one of them, he said. Zuri was frozen. She should have erased his memory or vanished. But instead, she said, "Yes, and I need your help." The final seal lay in the sunken vault beneath Bight of Bonny, where the ocean floor dropped into an abyss filled with forgotten magic. But something was waiting for them. Okunlein's voice thundered through the trench. "You cannot seal what is already free." From the dark rose a creature of black water and bone, a godlike form cloaked in barnacles and flame-eyed eels. The water churned with rage. Zuri and the Tideborn fought with everything they had. Tayo, on a boat above, used Zona to destabilize the trench's floor. He wasn't a warrior, but he was smart and brave. He risked everything to keep the battle going. Zuri summoned the spirit of her grandmother, the tide keepers of old, and the soul of the ocean itself. The final seal lit up in her chest, and with a scream that shook the waters for miles, she struck Okunleyin with a beam of light so bright it split the sea. He sank, bound again, but not destroyed. When Zuri surfaced, bleeding and weak, Tayo was waiting. "You shouldn't have come," she whispered. "I'd do it again," he said. She smiled for the first time in weeks. The Tideborn vanished after that night, returning to the old ways, the deeper places of the ocean where mortals could not follow. Zuri stayed behind. She had passed her trials. She was no longer just the last tidekeeper. She was now the bridge between worlds, between water and land, between myth and modern. She still took classes, still wore glasses, still dodged jollof rice arguments in the hostel kitchen. But at night, she patrolled the waves, watching, waiting, because Okunleyin's whisper still echoed through the trenches. And Zuri knew this was only just the beginning.
And so Zuri's journey between two worlds continues. But what lies ahead in the shadows of the deep? Will her secret remain safe, or will destiny call her to rise again? If you enjoyed the story, I would like to hear from you. Please like and comment your thoughts about Zuri. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. New stories drop weekly, filled with mystery, traditions, culture, and the legends you were never told.